Safety regulations, they're coming after your vehicle's giant touchscreen. At least over in Europe, where they have the Euro NCAP, which is the equivalent organization to our NHTSA and IIHS. It assesses new vehicle safety, and it's just announced new requirements for vehicles looking to earn the top safety marks starting in 2026. And while the US agencies haven't announced anything in the same vein just yet, you know they eventually will. If people aren't driving with their eyes glued to their phones, they're probably distracted by the heated seats that are controlled by the touchscreen. So what are the requirements? Well, the Euro NCAP is looking at 5 critical vehicle functions to see whether or not they are accessible via physical hard buttons, not the UI buttons in the touchscreen on the infotainment system. So what are the functions? We've got the turn signals, hazard lights, the horn, the windshield wipers, and the SOS emergency services. All 5 of these functions must be attached to either a knob, a button, or a stalk, or else the car will not earn 5 stars. It can still earn up to 4 stars, but you'll never be able to get the top score if you don't meet that criteria. Now, some automakers may be okay with missing out on the 5-star score, but this move sets a pretty massive precedent for interior design going forward. Want the quote-unquote safest vehicle on the road? It probably won't be as touchscreen heavy as other options out there. So who are the biggest offenders in the industry right now? Well, off the top of my head, I can think of Tesla being the first company to really take a lot of those physical buttons away and shove them onto a giant touchscreen, and other companies have followed suit. Luxury brands like Mercedes-Benz, Lincoln, and Cadillac have taken that concept and ballooned it into pillar-to-pillar display setups and very, very screen-heavy user interfaces. While mainstream brands like Volkswagen are receiving backlash for their implementation of touch capacitive sliders, which are physical buttons, but in a lot of cases they're either not very responsive or they don't light up at night, at least with the Volkswagens. Luckily they are fixing that with newer models, and I personally don't have a problem with touch capacitive sliders. They look elegant, and when they work, they really work well. As long as they're responsive and they can be seen at night, I have no problem with them. But you probably already noticed that touch capacitive sliders did not make the Euro NCAP cut. Now, when you really look at those 5 functions that Europe is looking into, it's true that actually all car companies do have some sort of physical redundant button to control each of those functions, even Tesla. The NHTSA and IIHS may eventually choose to look at those same 5 functions, but they could also branch out into other things like air vent controls. Tesla, Rivian, and now even Lincoln actually require you to use the touchscreen to control the direction of the airflow of your power-operated air vents. If our safety institutions were to find that to be too distracting, you could see that design trend go away very quickly. It's worth noting that the NHTSA has actually already proposed changes to how it makes 5-star ratings on vehicles, and this is after the Biden-Harris administration's push for better infrastructure came about a couple years ago, and that includes the vehicles that take advantage of the infrastructure. I welcome you to go do some research, look into those proposals for yourself, but while they haven't included the kind of changes Europe is doing just yet, they are still taking feedback and making final decisions on how to tackle emerging vehicle technologies. And even if America never sees these kinds of safety regulations, you'll definitely still witness the effects they are having on European branded vehicles as they are brought over to America. So what do you think? Should the market decide what car designers do with their interiors, or is the epidemic of traffic fatalities due to distracted driving enough for you to get on board with Europe's move? If you ask us, it's time to make buttons cool again.